But I want to go back to The Voice because I know you're following it closely. I read your emails, all the emails you send into this network, and I read the comments that you post under the newspaper columns I write, including today in The Australian. Now, the Prime Minister thinks we can't see through his spin and the spin of others, and he's kidding himself. And the more he wants to name call or raise his voice, well, that just highlights how much this is all getting to him. But honestly, some of the stuff out today, it's so desperate, I actually had to laugh. I mean, look at this last night on the ABC, where they got on Indigenous elder Pat Anderson to run the line they're all trying to get up now, that the Uluru Statement from the Heart is a benign one-page invitation from Aboriginal people to the rest of us, a poster, rather than a much longer and far more radical manifesto of grievance and demand. Have a listen.
Let me explain first of all. The Uluru Statement from the Heart is a one-pager. It's 439 words.
Oh, that's not what she said recently. On the stage, alongside fellow Uluru Statement co-architect Megan Davis.
And also in the Uluru Statement from the Heart, from the report rather, the Referendum Council's report, the Uluru Statement is in fact 18 pages long.
And Anderson would know, not only was she on the inside of the whole Uluru process, she was also the co-chair of the federal government's Referendum Council. It published a report in 2017 that contained in it the full Uluru Statement of the Heart that she now says, like the PM, is nothing more than a one-page poster. Now, come on. Do they really think we wouldn't do our research? This is all just so desperate. And it's desperate because The Voice is failing. It's desperate because they know they're in trouble. And the last thing they need is for voters to actually understand what voting for The Voice really means. Now, it isn't whether the Uluru Statement of the Heart is 1 page, 20 pages or 100 pages. That's the issue. The issue is that once the Prime Minister signed up to implementing it in full, well, all Australians were entitled to know what implementing it in full really means and what precisely he was going to implement.
And on behalf of the Australian Labor Party, I commit to the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full.
So are we implementing in full a poster? Are we implementing in full, instead, a radical agenda that includes a series of treaties between the Australian government and Aboriginal people? Well, that's on page 7 of the documents. A so-called Truth Commission to rewrite Australia's history. Well, that's on page 19. The recognition of customary law, that's on page 19 also. And the one that concerns people the most, the demand that there is a financial settlement paid by taxpayers to Aboriginal people for what they regard as compensation for land stolen 2 centuries ago. Now, it's this last point that is very interesting. And it's this point I want to pick up on tonight because I can't see that anyone else has found this discrepancy. Now, the PM and others think it's a conspiracy to claim the FOI version of the Uluru Statement, the whole 26 pages, was somehow kept secret.
This conspiracy has been around a while. The very documents Credlin has been highlighting has been claiming our secret had been public all along. Not new, not hidden, not a secret statement.
The Prime Minister says you don't need an FOI, Credlin. It's all there in the background notes, he says. In the official report, he says, of the Referendum Council. And he is right. It's almost there, word for word, in the Council's public report. And that marries up with the now FOI version, the one secret FOI version of the Uluru Statement that I've shown here for you every night this week, except for this. Here's the FOI version of the Uluru document, and it reads, a treaty could include a proper say in decision-making, the establishment of a truth commission, reparations, a financial settlement such as seeking a percentage of GDP, the resolution of land, water and resources issues, and it goes on. Now, look carefully, here's the public version, the non-FOIable version, and it says a treaty could include a proper say in decision-making, the establishment of a truth commission, reparations, a settlement, the resolution of land, water and resources issues. And it goes on too. Now, can you see what's missing? Nowhere in the public Uluru materials does it mention the words financial settlement, and there's complete and utter silence as to reparations based on a percentage of GDP. Now, sorry, PM, but it's hard to avoid the conclusion that the unpalatable stuff has been stripped out and you were hoping no one would notice. Well, we did. And that's why I think what we've witnessed this week, this mad scramble by the Yes camp, asking Australians to vote up constitutional change based on little more than a poster, is so obvious. Now, give me a break. No one believes you are taking a referendum to the people on the back of a poster. And as for Megan Davies, writing today in The Australian that the document released under FOI, she says it's basically a whole lot of background notes taken off butcher's paper at Uluru. Well, that's a joke. I mean, have a look at it. I've never seen such well footnoted and legally expressed butcher's paper in my life. Now, the moment the PM said he would implement the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full on election night last year, well, that was the moment all of us needed to understand exactly what was in it. And what does in full really mean? This is not about a one-page poster. This is about radical change. Radical change. And finally, I feel we're starting to get to the bottom of it.